Welcome back to my channel. I am back with another review. This review is for Baddies USA Chapter 2, Episode 15. So let's just get right into it because this episode was crazy. So this episode of Baddies picks up where the last one left off, where the baddies are kind of at like a strip club, but they have it to themselves and they're doing like a house meeting there where the replacements are being brought in. And the first two replacements to come in is Lexi Gold from Jocelyn's Cabaret and Shay from Baddies Gone Wild Season 1. And as soon as Shay walked in the door, Hurricane M jumps up and the two of them start fighting, and Kanaya has beef with Lexi Gold, so the two of them start fighting. And honestly, I felt like Kanaya won the fight against Lexi Gold. I feel like Lexi is too big to not know how to fight because Kanaya was definitely working her, and I feel like Shay and Hurricane M, their fight, I feel like Shay won that. I feel like Hurricane M was getting in there, but to me, Shay overpowered her. And why is Hurricane M making it seem like she was done wrong by these girls on BGW Season 1? Because if I remember clearly, she was one of the girls that continuously kept antagonizing and jumping Shay, Oxy, Bahati, and Jaden. She was on them all season. And then because they were able to get back at her at the reunion, now all of a sudden she's acting like she needs revenge on them. Like, girl, you've been jumping them the whole season. But Kanaya ends up showing text message proof that she did talk to Lexi about whatever issues that they have with each other. And while Rollie is holding the phone trying to read the text message, Dolly is being nosy as hell, walking real close up against Rollie, trying to look in the phone. And I was like, girl, you are nosy. But I do feel like Kanaya's text message did prove her side of the story, because if she did tell Lexi that, you know, she feels like she needs a break from the friendship, then I feel like she did a courtesy to Lexi, because a lot of people would literally just ghost you and never talk to you again, and you'll be sitting there wondering what the issue is. But at least Kanaya did tell Lexi that she just needed a break from the friendship. It seems like Lexi got in her feelings about that and she got mad and she started airing Kanaya out. Now, I don't really know their beef because I did not watch Jocelyn's Cabaret, but from what they were saying in this episode and last week's episode, it kind of seems like Lexi got in her feelings because Kanaya told her she didn't really want to be friends. And in that case, I feel like you weren't really her friend in the first place, because if somebody tells you that they don't really want to be friends with you anymore, you have to learn how to accept that. You don't have to like it, but you need to accept it. And you don't need to be trying to air somebody out or tell their business or drag them all over social media just because they told you they didn't want to be your friend. But guys, when Teetee and Pressure showed up, that's when things immediately got crazy. Now, you can say whatever you want to about Teetee and Pressure, but without them, I don't think this season would be good, because I feel like they're the ones that are bringing all the energy. Because as soon as Teetee and Pressure walked into the room, every girl in that room stood up. All of them stood up. And I'm like, damn, they have this many girls in the room mad? Pressure damn near made an enemy out of everybody this season. But Ciroc immediately ends up running up on Pressure, and the two of them start fighting. We know that they have an issue, so there's nothing wrong with Ciroc and Pressure fighting. We knew that was going to happen anyway. But while they're fighting, Rollie runs over there and tries to swing and jump in the fight. And it's like, girl, what the hell are you doing? If you wanted to fight Pressure, you had an opportunity to fight her multiple times. Why are you waiting until Ciroc fights her for you to want to fight her? Because I remember at the beginning of the season when they did that first big rehearsal, Pressure did call out Rollie for a fight, and Rollie said that she was not fighting. Now, granted, she did say that she was injured, but I just feel like in that case, she still could have fought Pressure one-on-one in this episode, and she chose to wait until Ciroc was fighting her. But then Ivory gets up and she runs up on Teetee, and the two of them start fighting. They're having a one-on-one fight, okay? That was fine. Teetee and Ivory, they're fighting with each other. Teetee is fast as hell. She ran over there and she swung on Ivory. I definitely feel like Ivory overpowered her in this fight, but I do give it up to Teetee that she still gets in there anyway. But while Ivory and Teetee are having a one-on-one fight, Rollie runs over there once again and she starts swinging on Teetee, trying to jump her while Ivory is already fighting her. So Lex goes over there while security is moving Rollie out of the way. Lex runs over there and she puts her arms out and she tells Rollie not to jump Teetee. People are saying that Lex was wrong for this, but I don't feel like she was wrong for that. Rollie is big as hell compared to Teetee. Why the hell would she be jumping somebody that weighs 80 pounds soaking wet? You don't have to like Teetee, but Rollie had no business trying to jump that girl. And Lex didn't even hit Rollie. She just put her arm out. She didn't even get to push Rollie. If you slow it down, she didn't even get to push her because security already had Rollie. She went over there and put her arms out and told Rollie not to jump her. I don't know how people can feel like Lex is wrong in this situation. I feel like Teetee is really small, and even though she's jumped people on Baddies Gone Wild, if you're friends with somebody, you're not going to sit there and watch a big bitch try to jump her when you know she's small as hell. And yes, Lex and Teetee are friends outside of Baddies. The two of them are friends with each other. People were trying to get Lex to fight Teetee when she was on Baddies Gone Wild, and Lex told people on live that she would never fight Teetee because that's her friend. I don't know how close they are, but all I know is that they said that they're friends with each other. They're cool. So if you see your small friend getting jumped by a big bitch, you're going to get involved. And if you're not, then you're not really a real friend. But then Baddies runs over there and she starts fighting Teetee in the corner, and Rollie grabs onto Pressure's leg and is pulling her across the damn floor. I'm sorry, that was funny because it looked like she was trying to make Pressure do a split. But Teetee sees that Rollie is grabbing onto Pressure's leg, so she tries to hit Rollie from behind, and when she tries to hit Rollie from behind, that's when both Egypt and Neek start jumping Teetee. I mean, they were literally jumping that girl from behind. And I'm looking at Egypt sideways because she's really not done anything this entire season. And then in last week's episode, ET's basically calling her and all the cabaret girls out, saying that they've been boring and they're trying to get a free check. And Egypt obviously felt some type of way about that, but she didn't press ET and she didn't fight ET, but yet she's over there fighting and jumping TT. That didn't make any sense to me because from what I know, she doesn't even have any beef with TT. So security is running around trying to grab everybody, and Lex is running around trying to break up the fight, and she sees Neek when she turns around and she pops Neek in the face because Neek was jumping TT. And people are saying that Lex had the opportunity to hit Ivory, Diamond, Ciroc, and Egypt, but she chose Neek, who is the weakest link. And I didn't see that when I watched this scene because I paused it. When I saw Lex and Neek going back and forth with each other and Lex swinging on Neek, I paused the screen because I wanted to see who was where. Ivory was nowhere in sight, so for people to say that she could have hit Ivory, no, she couldn't have hit Ivory because Ivory was nowhere near her, and Ivory wasn't the one jumping. Ivory was the one that was fighting TT and everybody else jumped in. And then they're saying that she could have hit Ciroc, but Ciroc wasn't next to her in this particular scene. Diamond the Body was also being held by security at this time when Lex and Neek were going back and forth with each other, so how is she going to hit her if she's being held back by security? And then Egypt is all the way on the other side of the room, standing next to ET on top of the little couch over there, so she wasn't nowhere near Lex either. I feel like the only reason why Lex hit Neek is because Neek is the one that was next to her at the time. None of the other girls that were jumping TT were next to her because some of them were being held back by security and some of them were all the way on the other side of the room. So did she have to hit Neek? No, she didn't have to hit Neek. She could have just broke shit up and didn't hit anybody. I actually wish she wouldn't have hit Neek because now that's giving people another reason to have something to say about her because people nitpick every little thing that she does. But Baddies ends up snatching up Pressure from behind by her wig and snatches it off her head, and then Teetee runs and pushes Rollie because Rollie jumped her. And then Pressure's in the corner. She's basically standing next to security, Lex, and Brorilla, and I guess she says something funny and Lex starts laughing with her, and Rollie feels some type of way. Immediately she gets mad. She starts calling Lex all types of bitches and calls her weird, and I'm confused by this because Rollie and Lex are not best friends. Rollie says that none of the girls on the show are her friends. They're her co-workers. She said that numerous amounts of times, and she's also made shady comments to Lex and has sided with other people, so I don't understand why she acts like Lex owes her some type of loyalty. And what exactly did Lex do? All she did was break up a fight and tell Rollie not to jump TT, and then she was laughing with Pressure. Why do you care if she was laughing with Pressure? She doesn't have to have a problem with Pressure just because every other girl on the show has a problem with her. Now, Pressure and Ivory were getting ready to fight, but Diamond hops up in the air and pops Pressure on the top of the head, so they never actually got to fight because Diamond was trying to jump in. But TT and Pressure end up getting carried out because at the end of the day, they were getting jumped by everybody, so they took them right up out of there, but they definitely came in and shook things up. But then Erica from Jocelyn's Cabaret and Oxy from Baddies Gone Wild end up showing up because they're more replacements, and Hurricane M ends up hopping up out of her seat and she punches Oxy right in the side of the face, and the two of them start fighting. Again, I feel like Hurricane M is milking them, jumping her at the reunion like she wasn't jumping them the entire season. But then Kanaya and Erica start fighting, and Kanaya was definitely getting Erica. She put a big ass knot in between her eyes in this fight, but then Ciroc ended up breaking it up, so the two of them stopped fighting. And I'm sorry, Tavy pissed me off in this scene. She was really getting on my goddamn nerves. Because after the fight between Kanaya and Erica was broken up, she goes up to Kanaya and she ends up asking her what the issue is between her and Erica. And Kanaya answers her. She literally tells her that Erica was running her mouth about her online, and Tavy says that everybody does that. And so Kanaya basically did not want to talk to Tavy anymore, but Tavy kept following her around, talking real loud in her face, and you can tell Kanaya was getting annoyed. And Tavy was in her confessional saying that Kanaya didn't give her a straight, direct answer, and it's like, yes, she did. She literally told you the reason why she's beating beefing with the girl because the girl was talking about her online, but you didn't feel like that was a good enough reason, so you keep pressing her. I'm surprised Kanaya didn't just mush her in her damn face, because honestly, she should have. But the club scene ends up getting shut down. Rollie tells all of them to get ready because they're leaving and going to Orlando. So we know the season ended in Orlando. Like, that's when filming stopped. And the opening fight at the beginning of the season happened in Orlando at that last gathering. So I definitely feel like that's coming up soon. But when they arrive in Orlando, Hurricane M, Ciroc, and Kanaya meet up with Dolly, Lex, Tavy, Ivory, and Diamond. And they start talking about Kanaya and Tavy's back and forth they had the night before. And Kanaya basically said that she was getting annoyed with Tavy because Tavy was being really aggressive with her, coming in her face, talking real loud, not accepting the answer that she gave. And Tavy sat up there and lied in front of everybody. She literally claimed that she was asking Kanaya what her issue was with Erica, and Kanaya would not tell her. She just kept telling Tavy that she already knows, even though that's a complete lie. We literally saw Kanaya tell her that the reason why she was beefing with Erica is because Erica was talking shit about her on social media. So this just goes to show that Tavy is a real liar. Like, you have to be careful believing anything that comes out of Tavy's mouth, because we literally just sat here and watched her lie and act like she was telling the truth. So to me, I gotta watch out for Tavy. I can't really believe anything she says unless somebody else validates it or I see it with my own eyes. But Dolly ends up asking Lex during this conversation where she stands with Rollie, because obviously they went back and forth with each other when Lex broke up the fight between Rollie trying to jump Teetee, and Lex basically said what everybody saw, that Rollie was pissed off at the fact that Lex stopped her from jumping Teetee. She's friends with Teetee, so why would she let somebody jump her? So then Ciroc starts trying to check Lex, telling her that the reason why people got mad at her for trying to break up the fight when people were jumping Teetee and Pressure is because Pressure and Teetee have been jumping other people, and now that they're getting jumped, Lex is telling people to stop. And I see people saying that Ciroc ate that, and I'm confused as to what exactly she ate, because Pressure got jumped the second she walked in on the scene. Ivory, Diamond, and ET jumped her multiple times, okay? In the first episode that Pressure was in, she got jumped by all of them. Then she got jumped again a few times during that whole big rehearsal they did at the beginning of the season. So she got jumped multiple times before her and Teetee jumped anybody. And Teetee only got involved when that whole bus thing situation happened and Diamond and Ivory were trying to jump Pressure. That's when she got involved to try to even the playing field. Am I saying I like Teetee and Pressure? No, but if we're going to be real and be honest, then let's be real and be honest. Diamond and Ivory were jumping way before Pressure and Teetee started jumping anybody, and nobody wants to call that out because they don't want to beef with Ivory. They're not scared of Diamond, but they know that Diamond's protected by Ivory. They don't want to beef with Ivory, so they won't call that shit out. If Ciroc's going to call out Teetee and Pressure for jumping people, then she should also be calling out Ivory and Diamond for jumping too, and ET, because ET has also been jumping people. So no, in my opinion, Ciroc did not eat that. She should have minded her business, and also she's not one to talk about somebody getting involved in beef that has nothing to do with her, because she did the same thing in this very episode. She broke up the fight between Erica and Kanaya. She went over there and she pulled Erica and told Erica to calm down and to stop fighting. And then she had the nerve to say in this conversation, when did Lex become TT's protector? When did she become Bahati's protector? Because I seem to remember that on that bus when Kanaya and Bahati were fighting with each other, she ran over there and she pushed Kanaya and yelled at Kanaya because Kanaya was fighting Bahati, even though Bahati tried to fight her first. So when did she become Bahati's protector? I just feel like y'all like Ciroc and you don't like Lex, and that's the reason why you're saying she ate that, because she didn't. And then Dolly got on my nerves because when Lex was trying to answer Ciroc, she shut it down and told Lex, come on, we're leaving. It's like, girl, let her talk first. Rollie and Cold Killer end up meeting up, and she starts telling Cold Killer about everything that happened while she was away on tour with Natalie. And then Erica, Oxy, and Lexi Gold end up showing up, and they're filling them in on their beefs that they have, like the origins of their beef, because everybody doesn't know the beefs that happened on Jocelyn's Cabaret, and everybody didn't watch Baddies Gone Wild to know the beefs that happened over there. And then Natalie ends up showing up, and they're kind of filling her in on what happened when she was away. And then Natalie starts talking to the replacements, trying to figure out what they might bring to the season. And I do respect the fact that Oxy said that even though her and Bahati are not friends anymore, that she's not beefing with her because they were once cool with each other, and that if somebody was to try to jump Bahati, she would get involved and defend her. I appreciate that, because I feel like people think that when people fall out with each other, they have to be beefing, and that's not the case. Now, Pressure and Teetee end up going to rehearsals with Cold Killer before the other girls show up, and they start asking Cold Killer about her tasing Tinka in the neck. And my opinion on this has not changed. I don't feel like Cold Killer Killer should have done that. I don't feel like she should be arguing or going back and forth with anybody because she's on injured reserve. So if she antagonizes somebody, they can't even touch her. I felt like she should have got home after she tased Tinka in the neck because that was taking things way too far. And I feel like they should have made an example out of Cold Killer this season because there's no point in her being there anyway. She can't do anything. Her face is fractured. But Mariah Lynn, Dolly, and Lex end up showing up during this conversation, and there's tension between Cold Killer and Dolly because Cold Killer did say that really that tasing was supposed to be for Dolly, but Dolly didn't go to the club that night, so she got Tinka instead. So they're going back and forth with each other because they were beefing on social media at this time. If you were paying attention to all the T pages, they were going back and forth pretty heavily, and their men were included in that as well. So it got pretty messy between the two of them. But Dolly was basically shutting Cold Killer down. She don't want to hear anything out of that girl's mouth. And I agree with Dolly because at the end of the day, Cold Killer cannot fight. Her face is fractured. Nobody can touch her. So there's no point in going back and forth. But what I will say is that Dolly was kind of getting on my nerves a little bit with that bullhorn because it's like, girl, put that shit away. But Fauna and E.T. end up showing up, and that's when Teetee kind of ends up calling out Fauna because Fauna ran at Pressure and snuck her, but she hasn't had that energy for Lex, and Lex is somebody who spit on her. So Fauna ends up asking Lex if she wants to fight, and Lex told her that she was not fighting her, and Lex starts smiling about it. And the funny thing about it is Lex is playing mind games with Fauna. Do I think that she should just fight Fauna? Yes, I think she should just beat Fauna the fuck up so that everybody can shut up about it because y'all want her to fight her so bad, and then when she beats up Fauna, y'all are going to be mad about that too. But Fauna gets so mad because Lex doesn't want to fight her that she storms up the steps and she leaves. And look, I honestly was laughing about this because Fauna had an opportunity to run up on Lex right there. Security was not over there. Lex was standing right there wide open. She could have ran at Lex and Lex and her would have been fighting. I don't feel like Fauna really wants to fight Lex. I really don't feel like she wants to because when we've seen Fauna really want to fight somebody, she runs up on them the same way she did to Pressure. Don't say, oh, Lex has been PC'd up because she has not. There's been plenty of times and openings for Fauna to go at Lex and she has not done it. Even when they were at that club and everybody was jumping Teetee and Pressure, Fauna had the opportunity to run up on Lex and she has not done it. In this particular scene, there was nothing but space and opportunity for her to run up on Lex and she did not do it. People need to stop making excuses for Fauna. When she wants to fight, she will fight. I don't think that she really wants to fight Lex. She's just doing it because people are going to drag her if she doesn't because Lex spit on her. And I honestly hope Lex does fight her and she beats her up again like she's been doing every time they fight so that people can be mad once again because that's what's going to happen. She's going to beat up Fauna and y'all are still going to be mad. But those are my thoughts on this week's episode of Baddies USA. Let me know what you guys thought about this episode down in the comment section and I'll talk to you guys in my next video.